There was a poet, Rabindranath Tagore. As he was passing away, he read poems to his wife, leaving behind a parting message that though he was leaving this life, he would definitely return to her heart through memory. He told her that we are all born, we pass away, we journey from one shore to another in life, but his love was an eternal law. It was a love that would give them the opportunity to meet again because they had walked the path of pure, bright relationships. God does not separate people unless it is necessary. It is we who separate ourselves because we fail the test of love. We constantly want something from each other. We're constantly jealous. We exploit each other. If we use love, God will not bring us together. We will not meet again. However, if we have passed these stages, and only through faith in God can one pass these stages of purifying one's love, if we relate to a person purely, then a pure, bright memory of that person remains in our heart. True love means wanting to help other people without expecting anything from them. When this selflessness exists, the story continues. Love means giving freedom to the other person. If they wish to fly away, then let them fly away. Love means nurturing a pure, bright memory of someone. It is a bright feeling, not a dependency. Dependency is not love. It means that you cannot love. You don't have enough energy for this, and this energy comes from God. How does this work? You draw energy from God and give it to a person. You take energy and you give it away. This is called selfless love. It cannot work any other way because if you give energy, you need it back. This is called reciprocity. But there is no reciprocity between people because we are selfish. We are not developed people here. Developed ones live up there, but we here are all selfish. We take it without appreciating it. For example, a wife cooks with love, and the husband eats. Will he return the same amount of gratitude for what she invested in him? No. If he does give it back, it's still not as much energy as his wife invested.
He'll say, "Thanks, I'm full."
Thanks, I'm full. I'm off, basically. Come if you need anything. I try. When my wife cooks for me, I express my gratitude. But it's incredibly difficult to return everything that a person has invested. We can't. We are too weak for that. We only take, and we become impudent from love. If you love someone strongly, they take, consume, and become impudent. They consume and become impudent, then leave for another city. And that's it. This is all we do. We have such a program embedded in us. Therefore, true love means taking from God. If you take from God, then you can truly love. Take from God and give selflessly. If the other person decides to fly away, we let them fly away. We'll celebrate our meeting later. True love means the absence of dependency on the other person. Dependency arises because we invest love faith, not in God. Love faith is the kind of love that you will never lose. It's impossible to lose. But if a person loses love and thinks about it and cannot distract themselves from it, it means they place their love faith in a person. When you believe in God, if you lose someone, you preserve yourself and continue on with life. We are all here temporarily. We meet and part. We will not be with each other forever. Okay, he moved to Yekaterinburg, but what if he goes to another planet? It means the death of the body. What will you do then? Therefore, you need to learn to let go, honestly, nobly give, and continue to live. Don't keep someone close to you. Yesterday, a woman was crying and she approached me. Sometimes angel children are born. They are born for a short time to give angelic purity to a person, to give love, happiness, and then fly away. And such angelic children pass away at a young age, all of them. This is already a classic genre, and they all go to heaven and continue to rejoice there, but we cannot let go. We cry and suffer because such a person has left me, but we should be happy because they are well there. However, we don't feel that they are well. We don't feel that they are well. We only feel ourselves and constantly cry. We want the person back. Is this love or not love? Love is when you give a person the opportunity to be happy. That is love. Of course, we want a person to be near us, but we still need to let go. When my wife's mother passed away, she was in perfect health. She was 78 years old when she had a heart attack. 2 days later, she passed away unexpectedly, but before that, some remarkable things began to happen. For instance, she had never written certain things to me before. She sent me a message. Oleg, you are the best son-in-law in the world. Thank you for everything. There is no one else like you. She was saying goodbye. Before my last trip, she came to see me off. She came out to see me off, something she has never done before. She lived nearby, and that day, she kept walking around the house, waiting for me to come out. She was so anxious. She was walking and waiting. As I was leaving, she hugged me. She was saying goodbye to me, even though she didn't know she was going to pass away. And on the day she was taken away by an ambulance, my wife came to her. knelt down and said, "Mom, you are my most beloved. I love you so much." Her mother replied, "I love you very much too, daughter." Then my wife asked her, "Mom, do you ever think about death at all?" She replied, "What is there to think about? When I pass away, don't bury me in the damp earth. Cremate my body and scatter the ashes in a holy place." She gave clear instructions regarding what to do with her remains. This is how the Lord cares for people. He granted them that conversation. After it, the daughter never saw her mother alive again. Afterwards, the daughter only saw a lifeless body lying in a coffin. In time, both my wife and I went through a kind of training on love. Since we went through a training about what true love really is, we began to pray sincerely. My wife would place a photo of her mother in front of her, think about God, pray, and kiss her mother in her mind, saying again and again, "Mommy, I love you so much." That's how she prayed, and still prays to this day. Love isn't about tears. Love is a pure, radiant memory. If someone cannot cultivate that kind of pure memory in their heart, it means they are not worthy of love. It means they are still weak. There were times when I broke down. My mother used to have a greenhouse where she grew greens for us. One day I stepped inside the greenhouse, surrounded by all the greens she had planted, and I collapsed. I was overwhelmed. But then I looked at my mother and I could sense that she was suffering because I was suffering. And I thought to myself, no, this won't do. So I gathered my strength and began to show courage. I began to think about God, to remember Him, and I offered that memory to her. This is how a brave person behaves. A weak person whimpers, moans, and whines. The moment I understood that my mother had passed away, I saw her immediately rise upward. They were already waiting for her. She was already preparing to ascend. They placed her on a special chariot and carried away her subtle energy body. She was in her subtle energy body. At the boundary of the earthly realm, there exists an invisible sun. It emanates invisible energy and nourishes all the stars with its light. This sun exists on an energetic level. Compared to it, our physical sun is just a small ball like this, and that invisible sun is this size. The invisible sun can even be perceived from here on the subtle plane, and there is also an invisible moon, which feeds all moons with its light. It is even larger in size. It resembles the kind of moon you sometimes see in movies. This is exactly that heavenly planet. People who didn't want to engage in spiritual practice but have done good deeds follow the lunar path to heaven. They journey toward this invisible moon, not our Earth satellite, but the invisible planet. They go to heaven where everyone simply enjoys life, but those who want to continue spiritual life ascend along the solar path, and she went to heaven along the solar path. On the planet where she will now be reborn, everyone prays to God, absolutely everyone. And she went along the solar path. As she crossed the earthly level, a golden halo appeared above her head, just like the ones painted on icons. I saw it. It turns out that the angels who come to help people all go along the solar path. And that same yellow halo appeared around her. 8 days later, she arrived at that planet. I began to see through her eyes. The colors there are much brighter than here. Imagine increasing the brightness of everything we see here tenfold. That's how vibrant the colors are there. Everything is very beautiful, colorful. Everything is very bright. A person doesn't actually die. Our relationships are eternal. The same thing is when your loved one leaves you. If you have the right kind of love in your heart, wish them happiness. It's better for them that way. They know what's best for them. Why would you want to keep them for yourself? That's not love. That's called dependency. Real love always arises in a person if they gain inner independence. The soul by its nature cannot live on its own without support. We always need something beyond ourselves. There is God. He is filled with energy. He is always self-sufficient. But we, on the other hand, are constantly being filled. We must be filled with the energy of nature to maintain our subtle energy body. And the soul, too, needs to draw energy. It can draw energy from people, from the souls around it. This is called faith in a person. It is faith that fills a person. Or we can draw energy directly from God. God is like the sun. When you draw energy from people, you are nourished by a small, limited source. That's why love for God and love for people are so fundamentally different in nature. When you love God, you feel lightness within, purity, brightness, joy, and calmness. But when you love another person, there isn't enough love to go around. Tension is created there. That's why human love for a person always feels intense and hot. It feels sick. When you love a person, you suffer from them. Your heart aches, it burns. But when you love God, the heart cools. It feels light, pure, and joyful, filled with lasting happiness and a sense of eternity. In contrast, love for a person can feel like a fire. It inflames the heart. And we all want it that way. We all long for this fried feeling in life. We expect this hot, heated love from people. We chase after it. Meanwhile, love for God, because it calms and soothes the heart, often doesn't feel exciting. It feels peaceful and good, but we desire the thrill. We want life to be more thrilling, more fun. As long as someone believes that this burning passion is real love, they will continue to suffer in this world. But once they discover true love, pure, bright love, it naturally connects them to God. You become devoted to Him, you think about Him constantly, yet these feelings are of a different kind. They are purer, brighter, and more elevated. Then and only then can you nourish other people with this energy, because otherwise how do we love? We don't nourish someone with energy. We demand attention and love for ourselves. And this demandingness destroys relationships. The stronger a person loves, the harder it is to be around them. Raise your hand if you've ever had a situation where someone loved you so much that you couldn't take it. It was just impossible to be near them. Look how many people, and you had to end the relationship because it was unbearable. The person would emotionally drain you, intense jealousy, telling you not to look at others, constant emotional outbursts. They won't let you live. They're always watching you, checking what you're doing, constantly thinking about you. They're constantly saying, I want to be with you, I really want to be with you. And on. You'll go crazy. It's unbearable, so the other person runs away. But if you're filled with God, the love is still there. God has brought you together, then you stop demanding love and start giving it. You begin to do things for the person, help them. Then everything becomes okay. Things start to settle. When you do something good for someone, will they run away from you? You only wish them well and want to bring them happiness. You care for them constantly. No one runs away from that. People run away when you drain them, when you exhaust them with your love, demanding love from them. What kind of love do small children show, giving or taking? Taking. They're little, they constantly demand. But why doesn't a mother abandon her child? Why does she stay, even though it's exhausting, even though a child wears her out?
Baby has divine energy.
Because of God. God gives her His energy in return. A child is constantly taking and demanding, but God, through the child, fills the mother with strength, and so an exchange takes place. A child takes, but God gives to a mother. There's an exchange. God is an inexhaustible source of love. That's how He protects small children.
Is it the same with a father?
No, that same kind of exchange happens only if he loves his wife. If he loves his wife, then through her he receives the love of children. If he stops loving her, an exchange abruptly ends. This kind of exchange only happens through the mother. That's why the mother is sacred. Everyone knows that the mother is sacred. You must never harm a pregnant woman or a woman with children. When people kill, they destroy divine love. What harm can a woman with children do? She isn't doing anything bad. She's simply with her child. She should not be touched. If there's a war, then fight, protect your homeland. But if you see a woman with a child, don't kill her. Why are you even killing in the first place? If a person does that, they go to hell afterward because it's a sin. Now, the next topic of crisis or conflict is the topic of faith, and it's the most important one because many people on earth have developed the wrong kind of faith. Why does that happen? Because life influences us that way. A child is born and we put our faith in the child. We fall in love and we place our faith in a woman or in a man. Some people even manage to put their faith in an apartment, a house, or a car. A person may want a house so badly they're ready to die for it. Or they believe in America. I want to go to America or some other place. The grass is always greener on the other side. But when a person puts their faith not in God but in something else, it will inevitably lead to stress. A crisis begins from the moment you adopt a misplaced faith. A child is born, and you start to place your faith in them. But through that child, a crisis will come into your life. Because you believe in them, they start to become spoiled, selfish, and eventually behave badly, and your life begins to fall apart. That child, you believed it, you thought, I'll have a good child, ends up giving you troubles. And you suffer deeply. A crisis begins. Why do these troubles come through a child? Because you were supposed to put your faith in God and raise a child because they are not yet wise. Your faith won't raise a child, it spoils them. They do whatever they want because you can't manage them. When you put your faith in someone, you become their servant, a slave to that love. That's it. And they get arrogant. Believe in your husband, he'll become arrogant. Believe in your child, a child will become arrogant. And what follows is stress. or a conflict of interests. Where does conflict come from? From misplaced faith. That's why the deepest suffering a person experiences in life is always connected to their faith. And there are a few types of such suffering. The first type is like the scene you just saw, a classic example. This happens to almost everyone. It's love, a broken heart, and the person suffers terribly. The second type is events that catch up to us from the past. We committed bad deeds in past lives and violated spiritual laws: betrayal, theft, violence, poisoning, depriving someone of property, slander, murder, abuse, etc. Moses brought the commandments. Breaking those commandments creates a harsh fate. He said, "Don't do these things." But people do them anyway because desires push them. They think, "It's no big deal, I'll get away with it, no one will find out." But God sees everything. He knows it all. He is here, in your heart. He can even show it to others. He hides nothing. If you know how to see, He will show you what another person is doing. A man once came up to me and said, "I got my wife back. She had left me for another man. I prayed, did everything you teach, went through all 3 stages of overcoming fate, and she came back." His wife was standing nearby at the lecture, head lowered. She realized her guilt. She stood there with her head down. He said, "But I still can't forgive her." I said, "I'll help you, it's easy." He said, "Please, Dr. Torsunov, I'm suffering, I can't do it." I said, "Just ask your wife to step aside for a moment." She stepped away. I said, "You know, there are 2 kinds of betrayal. One kind is when a person knows they've been betrayed and they suffer terribly, they get angry. The other kind is when someone cheats and no one ever finds out and nobody suffers." He looked at me and said, "That's it. I've forgiven her, Dr. Torsunov. Somehow I've let it go." Turns out it's simple. You just have to remember your own life and compare. We notice the speck in someone else's eye, but not the log in our own eye. We forget, but the truth is, you have a similar sin in your own past you just forgot. That's why you couldn't forgive. But now forgiveness came instantly. So here's another cause of crisis or conflict in life: cruel fate. One cause is wrong faith. If you carry the wrong faith inside you, it will eventually lead to a crisis. There are 3 types of wrong faith. The first is when a person believes in themselves. This creates a life of ignorance. When someone believes only in themselves, they don't care about anyone else. They want to be happy, and they'll sell out anyone, even their own mother, to get it. People who believe only in themselves usually end up with bad habits. Their attitude is, "You only live once, so drink, party, have fun." Belief in oneself results in arrogant behavior. A person might be well educated and successful, but if they believe only in themselves, that belief becomes the core of their life. They might be an academic or do good deeds, but still lack a conscience. They live however they want. They may abandon a loved one just because they feel like it. "It's my life. I'll live how I want." You only live once. They meet someone else, fall in love, and say goodbye forever. That's belief in oneself. Such a person typically heads for a fall or hell. Then there's belief in luck or success. That's the second type of belief. These are people who believe in luck. They watch movies about successful people, how everything works out perfectly. In those movies, even if you're shot at point-blank range, not a single bullet hits you. I once saw a comedy that parodied those kinds of films. 2 gang groups stood face to face at close range and started shooting at each other, cursing each other, firing away, and not a single bullet landed. They kept shooting and missing. That's how those films are. Nothing ever hits, because in that world they live in luck, and death isn't even possible. You're always saved. Everything turns out fine. That's belief in luck. People watch these films to feed that hope. Belief in luck breeds a strong craving for success. A person begins striving intensely for worldly achievements. Those who believe in luck or success believe in a kind of earthly paradise. They think happiness awaits them here, in this world. So when they get married and realize there's no perfect love, they think, "I need a new partner. I need to keep moving forward." Because paradise hasn't come, but they expected it. This is the mindset of 90% of people. They believe in earthly paradise, that happiness will come in this life. That's why people pursue it. They believe happiness means material success, romantic love, and good relationships with their children. A person feels truly happy when they have children, love for a woman or man, wealth and financial stability. They see all of that as real happiness. But actually, the Vedas say that all of this is needed only for comfortable living. A person has a basic need to live on this earth. You need to breathe, right? If there's no air, can you live comfortably? No. If oxygen isn't flowing, you immediately feel unwell. no water, life becomes uncomfortable. We don't even think about this because we always have air and water. But what if there's no sunlight? What if the sun disappeared? Would life still be comfortable? No. See, we are deeply dependent, and this dependency pushes us to search for happiness in this world. We keep striving, always chasing something better, waiting for that lucky break. We wait for luck. That's belief in luck. Sometimes a person ends up in a situation where everything seems to come true. For example, someone believes in the bluebird of happiness. Blue is the color of luck, and this person falls in love, boards a train heading to their beloved, and it's nighttime. The sky is blue, clear, and beautiful. A bluish star is shining in the sky. They gaze at the blue sky in awe and think, I'm lucky. My good fortune is just ahead. But true luck belongs only to those who believe in God. People who believe in worldly happiness go through 5 stages in life. Stage 1 is belief, optimism, and enthusiasm. Stage 2 is deep stress, because to achieve luck, people work hard, study a lot, and believe that success and money are coming. Stage 3 is fatigue. Stage 4 is breaking down. Stage 5, there are only 2 options, either degradation or the person completely changes their life. That's it. There are no other outcomes. A person walking this path doesn't realize that what they're searching for isn't actually happiness. It's simply peace. A very wealthy man once came up to me and said, I have everything, Dr. Torsunov. My life is great, but I don't feel happy. I told him, that's because you weren't searching for happiness. He replied, what do you mean? I achieved success. I have a good wife, children, and wealth. I can live anywhere I want, but I'm not happy. I said, you've reached peace. When you have money, you feel at peace. A good wife, at peace. Good children, at peace. A good job, at peace. Prosperity, good country, at peace. But that's not happiness, that's just tranquility. Hey, is everything okay? Yeah, all good? All right then, and we go back to sleep. That's peace. There's a cartoon about a king, and there is an episode about the Queen of Shamak. Do you know how it begins? The king is lying down and says, I'm bored, everything's going too well, it's dull. And then the Queen of Shamak appears and the boredom is gone. Life becomes very exciting. True happiness comes from the heart. True happiness is when a pure, bright feeling arises from your heart, when you know your life has meaning. That kind of happiness comes when God is pleased with your life, when you live honestly, purely, and righteously, and a deep feeling of joy arises in your heart. That's when even heaven starts waving to you. God can even show you where you'll live in your next life. Do you know why some people are truly not afraid of death? Because fearlessness isn't just the courage of a warrior. True fearlessness comes when a person already knows where God has reserved a place for them. One girl from Ukraine told me that her house was bombed and all her relatives died. She lost her job and came to Russia. She attended my lectures and asked me, Dr. Torsunov, I've lost everything. I have no family, no children, no husband, no job. The house I lived in is gone. I have nothing. But I've always listened to your lectures, prayed to God, practiced spiritual life. Do you understand why this happened? I said, yes, I understand. Do you? She said, I think I do, and smiled at me. I thought, wow, what an amazing person. I asked, what is it that you understand? She said, I think God is freeing me from something here. Maybe He wants to give me something else. And right then I saw the place in heaven that God had already prepared for her. He'd already built her a little house. But in order to get there, she had to detach from everything here. She couldn't do it philosophically. She was still attached, but now it was all gone. She had become pure and radiant. God had freed her from earthly happiness. And up there, He'd built her a little house. That's what I saw. I told her, and she confirmed it. She said, that's exactly what I thought, and smiled. Can you imagine? Another case. A man came up to me and said, Dr. Torsunov, I also pray and follow a spiritual path. My whole family was like that. My wife, too. We never argued. Children were pure and bright. Then one child passed away. Soon after, the second one passed too. And not long after that, my wife also died. I was left all alone. He asked, why? I looked at him and said, you know. He said, yes, I know, but I want to hear it from you, because it's such a strange kind of knowledge. If someone else says it, I'll believe it more. I told him, because you'll all meet again in heaven. They're all waiting for you there. And a place is already prepared for you too, I told him. He said, yes, and walked away. He already knew. God had told him in his heart. True happiness comes from the heart. It comes when a person lives their life honestly, God is pleased with such a person and gives them purity in their heart, depth. And until a person begins to believe in God, until they begin to feel eternity in their heart, until they understand the higher meaning of life, that there are holy people and we must learn from them, they won't find true happiness. You need to watch films about holy people, see how they rejoiced in life, how they treated everyone rightly, how they desired nothing for themselves. There's a movie about a doctor, Giuseppe Moscati. Have you heard of it, seen it? Watch it. It shows how a doctor, a holy person, treated people. From his youth, the whole story of his life is in the movie. It'll be especially meaningful for doctors, because a doctor is someone who wants to help others. It's already in their heart. But to see how this can be embodied in a holy person is truly powerful. You get to understand how his consciousness worked. He's actually been canonized as a saint. It's a very unusual movie. There are many like it. I watch them on flights, because I don't always have the strength to pray on a plane. So I put on a movie and watch the lives of holy people from different traditions. Muslim saints, Catholic, Orthodox, and so on. I can feel these people. Even though it's an actor on screen, I feel the person's spirit. I see their holiness, their purity, and I admire it all deeply. That's what real happiness is. It can't be bought. It's not cheap. And most importantly, it doesn't end. If you've experienced it in this life, it will continue in the next. People may gain wealth, fame, power, but that all lasts for only one lifetime. Because more often than not, people don't use it properly. God gives wealth so that people can do good, but instead most people hoard it like hamsters. Power is also given so that a person can take care of others, but most people in power use it to indulge themselves. Fame too. People mostly use fame to enjoy themselves. But if a person uses all of this, wealth, power, fame, in service to God, it elevates them greatly. Those who don't have these things can still elevate themselves, but not to the same extent. They may live their whole life in devotion to God. There are renounced people who have no fame, no wealth, no power, but they have service to God. And they also elevate themselves. But those who do have wealth, power, or fame, and offer it to God, rise even higher, because they face temptation and they overcome it. This can only be overcome with knowledge, and knowledge means understanding that there are two types of happiness. One kind simply gives you peace. Even cats experience this kind of happiness. Even a cat, when it's full and lying in the sun, is happy, purring, blissful. That's the happiness of peace, the kind of happiness most people seek their whole life. Even simple animals have access to it, and it comes to them in due time. Their fate brings that moment and they bask in it, lying there in the sun and everything is good. Like in the song, I'm lying in the sun looking at the sun. That is the happiness of peace. But the happiness of service is very rare. Very few people know the kind of happiness a person experiences when they truly want to dedicate their life to others and to God. They begin to feel the essence of nature on a deeper level. Because nature carries divine energy, it is divine by nature. They begin to feel people and their purity. They begin to love genuinely, to feel deep joy in others, to truly feel God. It's a very unusual and profound state of being. Remember, strength that helps us live always comes only through connection with others. When you meet such people, when you get to know them and interact with them, your whole life begins to change as a result of that interaction. As long as a person remains alone, they cannot overcome their fate. The main conflict in a person's life is the conflict of interests between the interests of God, who wants us to come closer to Him during this lifetime, and our own interests, which pull us in another direction. We want to enjoy personal happiness in this life and to live for ourselves. God pursues His interests too. He wants us to come nearer to Him. That's why sometimes a person experiences a cruel fate. A cruel fate is a period in life that belongs to God, not to us. This is His domain, a space where He sets a goal for a person to rise. In these moments, He is not concerned whether the family stays together or not. He just needs to achieve His goal, and He will keep destroying everything we have until we finally turn to God. Once we do, once we believe, everything begins to come together. Let me share something personal with you. There was a time in my life when I went through a trial. Young lady, was it you who started crying and walked out?
Yes.
Come here. I'm going to give you some tangerines now. You're so wonderful you can't even imagine. You are absolutely correctly set up, my dear. Everything in you is working as it should. Your heart is aligned. Come to me. You are doing so well. Take a tangerine. That's it. I wish you happiness. I bless you so that everything goes well for you. Here, have one more. Now I'll tell you about my life. I had a very difficult time during my army service. When I returned from training, I actually wanted to go to Afghanistan. I asked to go to war. I really wanted to treat people, soldiers. I volunteered. I was in a training unit in Novocherkassk. It was during the war in Afghanistan, and many of my friends went there. Zhenya, who now travels with me, his father studied with me. We were in the same class. When Zhenya found out about my lectures, he gave the lectures to his father to listen to. His father said, "That is my classmate." Then Zhenya's mother started listening too. Later, Zhenya's father died tragically, and now Zhenya travels with me and helps out. In the end, they didn't send me to Afghanistan. I asked the chief of medical services, why not? And he said, "I liked your eyes." Instead, he sent me to Minsk, to a tank division, to continue my service. There I served in the logistics platoon, became an instructor in tank battalions. I was helping people and so on. When I arrived there, the warrant officer in charge of our platoon used to play checkers with everyone. Every time he arrived, he played checkers with everyone, and all the soldiers would sit silently, watching carefully. When I played checkers with him, I thought he was testing my intelligence, and I beat him 5 times in a row. After that, I had a tough life for a year and a half. He chased me around like a whipped dog for the next year and a half. And then after this army service, for many, many years, until I turned 50, I kept having the same dream. They're taking me back to the army, back to Belarus. I would say, I'm already 50 years old, it's too late. I'm already turning in my military ID. And someone would say, no, the laws have changed. I'd argue, but that warrant officer is already dead. They would say, no, he's a long liver. But that military unit was disbanded. It's a different country now. No, it remained. And I would think, what kind of dream is this? I got so tired of it that in the dream itself I started arguing with the dream because it exhausted me. I have certain abilities, so I began to immerse myself into the dream, looking deeper and deeper into this dream, trying to understand the details. What makes me see it so often? Those events happened long ago. I had forgotten everything. But when I began to immerse myself into that Belarusian barracks, I saw that these weren't barracks at all. I wanted to understand the pain in my heart. I saw bunks in 4 rows. I saw barbed wire. I saw myself in a female body, walking in striped clothes, with guards carrying automatic weapons. I saw a concentration camp. I saw myself starving in that concentration camp, looking at people who were sick and how I passed away. I now understand that I have 2 main desires. The first is to overcome my fate, and the second is to help people. With these 2 desires, I am born on earth in this life. Since childhood, I have wanted to help others and overcome fate. I've been doing this all my life. We often think the things that happen to us are bad, but we don't know why they happen. Even if a person dies in a concentration camp, that experience becomes the foundation for their next life. And the impulse given in that moment, if a person leaves life correctly, that impulse remains. One must always try to fight, to win. Although I was in a female body, I left that life with great strength. I always wanted to help, I tried, I won, and God sent me to do what I wanted. But I'm not telling you all this for that reason. When I had that dream, I received a powerful revelation for the first time in my life. Immediately, I had a question for God. What was my life before that? I don't stop either, just like many of you. One more question, Dr. Torsunov. Those who listened to my lectures made up a joke. Even if Dr. Torsunov was lying in a coffin, someone would lean and say, "Wait, just one more question, Dr. Torsunov." And then God showed me that previous life, briefly the key milestones, and then the life before that, and the one before that, and again before that. And I saw they were more or less the same. Not in terms of events, but in essence. The core idea was the same, the inner script. Roughly the same fate, the same themes, the same tendencies. Because we don't change that quickly, we remain largely the same. Our inner issues don't change. Everything is roughly the same. We develop slowly, but our fate continues to resemble itself. So I asked him, knowing it was the Lord showing me all this, I asked him from my heart, why does all of this keep happening if it's all roughly the same? And the answer came. Not in words, but directly as knowledge. He placed the knowledge in my heart very strongly. I even knew it actually, but until he gave it to me this way, I didn't understand it deeply. He gave me the knowledge. It's so that you would come at least a little closer to me during this life. That's what it's all for. We think life is about buying a car or an apartment. We hear we must build a house, plant a tree, raise a child, and we believe this is the meaning of life. But it turns out no. It turns out that when we pray, we help people. When we seek to understand the deeper meaning of life, this is the purpose of human life. Animals live for happiness. If a living being wants to enjoy freedom, then it gets the body of a bird. If it wants to sleep well, the body of a bear. Go ahead, sleep peacefully for half a year without worry. If you want to tear others apart, the body of a tiger. If you want to prove your point, the body of a dog. It barks at everyone, insists on its truth, and no one argues, everyone agrees. But in a human body, one must rise and elevate oneself. There are no other true goals. Everything that happens in our lives, having children, building a family, working, is driven by our desire to live. But if a person does not fulfill the true purpose of human life, a conflict arises, a conflict of interest between God and the person. And then the stress you find yourself in becomes an insurmountable force that destroys your family, your work. Everything simply falls apart. That's the sign. You are not fulfilling the purpose of your life. You want something else here, but God will insist on His way. And until a person fulfills the purpose of human life and gets closer to God at least a little bit, nothing will change. Everything will fall apart and collapse. This condition is what we call stress. A person lives with their head boiling. They don't understand what is wanted from them and why everything is going wrong. Who here feels like that right now? So we've come to this point. I have been there too. I had experienced it several times in my life. The last time was 2 years ago. When I reached this state, I was prepared, 200% ready, and I even managed without stress. I simply fulfilled my task. I strengthened my faith. I reinforced it, and everything came back together in life. Things worked out. When a person overcomes their fate, they pass through 3 stages of victory over fate. This is such an important topic. Victory over fate always happens as a result of remembering God. Remembering God is an internal process. We cannot truly remember God because we do not know Him. And who is it that knows God? The one who has served God faithfully their whole life, and then God appeared in their heart. At first He appears as a feeling, then He manifests Himself more and more. You can even see Him. But most people cannot feel God. A person prays and feels nothing. What they feel is just their own thoughts during the prayer. They think about their life, their problems, and that kind of prayer is useless. So in order to overcome fate in some way, a person must know the rules that help them get closer to God. The first rule is this: you need to pray with someone who feels God. Even as simple as a choir singing, if the singing is truly sublime, you will feel God through that singing. But for this to happen, you must immerse yourself in listening to the emotions of those who are singing, because in emotion lies the memory of God. The Lord Himself lives in the emotion of those who sing. Next, you listen to those who pray, and you strongly connect your own prayer sound to their emotion. You adopt their mood, you absorb that emotion into your heart. And then your memory of yourself, your fate, begins to fade. The moment you connect to that emotion of those who pray, to the emotional memory of prayer, you will be able to move away from your thoughts. When a person is thinking during prayer, they cannot win because fate is stored in the memory of the self, and our memory of ourselves has tremendous power. The stronger fate presses on you, the stronger the memory of yourself becomes. There are 3 stages to this. First stage, a person thinks about themselves only after work. Second stage, they start thinking about their life even while they are working. And the third stage, they think about their life even at night. They cannot stop thinking about it for a second. And the more they are trapped in that memory of self, the harder it becomes to pray. Because fate strongly affects you. As long as fate is acting, you cannot defeat it. But victory over fate means that everything in life gets better. So what do you do when cruel fate is acting? First, you think about prayer. You remember prayer, and then you must do 2 things. First, accept your fate. That means you simply say, I agree with everything, even when you feel bad. Even when it's painful. You say, everything that's happening now, it's mine. This is what I need. I agree with everything. I accept it. That's the first thing to do. Second, you strongly praise God. You thank Him for everything. These 2 things need to be done, acceptance and gratitude. That's why hallelujah means thank you. It means gratitude. So when a person repeats a prayer, there is the entrance into the prayer and the exit. That is why I repeat hallelujah. It's best to divide the word like that, hallelujah. As I do that, I listen to those who are praying. I am catching their emotion. Yeah, at that moment I am thanking God and praising Him. Hallelujah means glory to you, Lord, a word of pure gratitude. Tomorrow we will talk about this in more detail, because tomorrow we will dedicate the entire day to learning how to overcome fate. This is very practical. Come and try to do it. It is a very powerful practice. If you go through it just once, you will remember it for the rest of your life. Now I want to share important knowledge with you. Whenever a person faces a difficulty in life, any difficulty, it can be overcome through prayer. Except for those difficulties that must be overcome through healing practices and good deeds. For example, if you have poor health and do not perform healing practices in nature, you will not recover just by praying because your body lacks nourishment. It means that your body needs to be nourished by nature, otherwise healing won't happen. I always take hold of nature whenever possible, but my body is trained. I can leave a lecture in freezing weather without a hat. And during just a 7-minute walk, I recover deeply through prana energy. Frost and minus temperatures is pure prana energy. Icy cold water, that is the purest water energy. Absolutely clean, absolutely the best. But you need to learn how to absorb it. If a person immerses their foot in water and gets cramps, it means that their body is not ready for this energy. But if you can immerse calmly, it means you can sit in ice water for 4.5 minutes and fully cleanse yourself. Likewise, cold is the purest energy of prana, or air. In Dubai, there is no such energy. There is only pure sun. But here you can grasp prana. Only in below zero temperatures can you truly cleanse your body and your health. Snow is also the purest prana. Snow is not water energy, it is prana energy. This is air energy. When I arrived in Yekaterinburg, I went to a bathhouse. The water there was 28 degrees and I felt disappointed because I wanted ice water. I thought, what should I do? I started walking around and found another exit from the bathhouse, an entrance hole covered in snow. I thought, wow! I undressed and lay down on the snow for 7.5 minutes. It was minus 20 degrees. I covered myself with snow and lay for 7.5 minutes. Then I went back into the bathhouse to steam. I was absolutely filled with energy. It was super. But you won't be able to do that, at least not yet. This needs to be learned. You need time to master all this. But it's so worth it. It feels amazing to live like this. When you are energetically filled, it feels so good. It's pure joy. You feel like you are flying. Even at 60, you fly. Gorgeous health. I'm telling you, it's cool to live like this. You can even fly across a continent. Just go to the bathhouse and you will fully restore yourself. I always go straight to a bathhouse from the airport with my suitcases. First ice water, then the steam room. 5 layers of water, then 5 layers in the steam room, then 1 more layer of water at the end, and that's it. Complete relaxation. All the vibration from the plane goes away completely. Nothing remains. That's why I have no complications from flights. I have no overload because I remove all that energy with water. Water removes all vibrations from a person. It absorbs everything. It frees a person from all their problems. This knowledge must also be studied. Now I will share with you knowledge about how prayer can drive out even the most insurmountable force from your life. Any force. Let's say something strange is happening in your fate. All the women in the family get abandoned, or everyone has difficult children, or the men die at a certain age. Who among you has something like this going on? Some strange thread in your family line, in your fate. Does it sound familiar? Everything can be overcome through prayer. All these problems can be overcome. There are 3 stages of prayer. 3 stages. What should you do? Just do what I'll explain in more detail tomorrow. For now, learn to remember God, praise Him, and accept your fate. Just do 3 things. Try not to think about your life at all. Stop thinking about it. Force yourself to think about God. Praise Him. For this, you need to repeat your prayer very slowly, from the heart. Connect your voice with the strong voices of those who pray. Combine all this and praise God. Praise and accept. Say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving me this life, for putting me through your test of being a faithful, beautiful, real woman. Thank you for testing me through love. Thank God and praise Him. Praise Him constantly. The first stage of this process occurs inside a person. Truly, the heart calms down deeply and calmness appears. You remember the situation that caused you pain, and you have a feeling everything will be fine. That is the first stage of victory over fate, 33%. You truly feel like everything will be fine, and it seems everything has already been resolved, but in reality, that's a deception. This is just the beginning. A person will feel 3 times that everything is over, everything is fine. In the heart, they will feel it 3 times. That's why the number 3, 3 times 9 lands, the thrice 9th kingdom. God loves Trinity. These are all 3 stages of victory over fate. The first stage happens quietly, in the heart. A calm so strong it's like iron settles in. Everything is great. The husband has not returned and he is not planning to, but the heart is calm, a contradiction. You no longer grieve, you don't worry. Everything inside feels normal for you, but he has not returned. This is the first stage, calmness in the heart, a truly amazing stage, an unusual kind of peace. Then comes the second stage. It is no longer just within you, it's between you. The thread that connects you both is being cleansed. To reach the second stage, a person must force themselves to pray further. They must continue their path of victory over fate, because in the second stage, there is a temptation to stop, to give up. Let me give an example. One man was left by his wife. He came to the lecture shattered. He was a very intelligent person. I told him how to pray. He absorbed everything like a sponge. A month later, I came back to Moscow. He was sitting there cheerful. I said, "Well, how are you?" He responded, "I feel light in my heart, free, calm, clean, and good." I said, "Okay, let's move to the second stage. You need to cleanse the thread, this connection between you. This thread, this connection must be purified. You should have a clean memory of the person. Until the second stage, you might seem calm on the outside, but you can't even speak to the other person. It's so hurtful what they did. You have a feeling of betrayal in your heart. You can't talk to them. But if you reach the second stage, you'll be able to speak to them as if nothing happened. You will be calm, not just in your heart, but in your relationship. You can easily talk to them as if nothing happened. You can even be friends with this person who once betrayed you, and there is no echo inside you. The memory is clear and bright, no more bitterness. You remember the person with a clean memory. You remember all the good things. You don't remember the negative events. No pain from the past. That man passed the first stage. He was feeling good. I said, "Now on to the second." And he said, "Dr. Torsunov," I thought, "why bother? There are so many good, beautiful young women around. Why do I need her? She betrayed me. I want to find someone else." Even here at the lecture, there are so many wonderful young women. And I told him, "Listen, what do women have to do with it? You're not just looking for someone. You are overcoming your fate. You'll just find yourself another woman with whom you'll be working through the second stage. You haven't yet defeated fate. Did your family fall apart because of a woman? No, this is your fate that came to test you." He responded, "How do I win then? I haven't won. I still need 2 stages. How do I go through them? How do I pray?" I told him, "That's why a person is given time to bring someone back. Not to grab them for yourself at any cost, but to go through all the stages. It's like a training ground for you, so you should train." He asked how much more to pray. I told him, "You passed the first stage in a month, so everything will go quickly now. Keep going, purify the relationship, bring your wife back." He asked, "What if she comes back?" He got so scared. I told him, "Then she will bring you happiness." He responded, "I don't believe in this." I told him, "That's the miracle of God, even if you don't believe it. One who has been beaten is worth 7 who haven't been." He said, "Okay, I understand, Dr. Torsunov. I will try to overcome the second stage." He was very intelligent. He started praying deeply, cleansing this connection. In the second stage, there are 2 phases. In the first phase, it becomes easy for you to communicate with the person, but not yet for them. You've only gone through your half of the thread. They're still their half. Then it becomes easy for them to communicate with you too. This is 66% victory over fate. After the second stage, you feel that everything will return. We are friends. There's a good relationship. I'm calm in my heart. Everything is fine. But they still don't come back because all 3 stages haven't been completed yet. To reach the third stage, you also need to pass an exam. In the first stage, there's a test for integrity. You feel good and think, "To hell with everyone. I don't need anyone. I'm fine as I am." This is a test for integrity. When the second stage passes, what's the test? The test is that you must accept God's will. At the end of the second stage, you must say, "I am going to the third stage. Lord, your will be done." If you want the other person to return, let them return. If you think it will be better if they don't, then let them not return. And I'm going to the third stage. But if you don't say this phrase and instead say, "I want the other person to return no matter what," then the third stage will pass, but nothing will work out for you because you didn't pass the main life exam. You don't believe in God, you believe in a person. You must give God the right to choose, not try to force him to do what you want. When you move to the third stage, you must surrender this right to God and then continue praying. And when you truly pass the third stage, changes begin inside the person you are praying for. They begin to realize that they did something foolish. Their conscience turns on. They begin to understand everything. Their life begins to change. And everything in their life begins to point them back to you and show them that they need to return. But even then, they have a choice. because God gives everyone that choice. And if you've passed your exam and gone through your fate, they may still say, I'm not coming back. They have a choice. Then God gives them a life in which they will suffer, though at first it will seem the opposite. It will seem like everything is going great. Later it turns out that's not the case. And to you, God immediately sends someone else. They come galloping right away on a white horse. You passed your exams. That's it. Receive and sign. God doesn't demand you suffer all your life, bear a cross of loneliness or the crown of celibacy, the crown of childlessness. God has no such things. You passed your exams, you may now receive. God always gives people everything they need in life. Need a child? You'll get a child. Even if all your organs have been removed, God can still give you a child. God can do it through surrogate motherhood, or you can simply take a small child to raise, and that child will be yours, not someone else's. Some people say, this is someone else's. No, this will be your child. There are two types of my child. One comes from the outside, the other comes from within. Both are mine. You just don't know anything about this. God makes it so that this will be yours. This means there is no such thing as a woman being destined to remain without a child, without a husband. There is no such thing. If you pass the exam as a woman, you'll be married. But you need to pass the exams. The exams are passed through 3 stages. First, fill yourself with energy. Become strong inside. In the second stage, detach from yourself. Start living for others. Start doing good deeds. Start helping others. The third stage is prayer. This is the most important stage because unless you get closer to God, God will not give you a truly happy life. When you go through all 3 stages, through 3 circles of victory over fate, when you've passed all these circles, God gives you a gift in reward, faith. Because faith in God comes when you see the result. Faith is not just a demagogic thing expressed in words, I believe, I believe. True faith comes when you see the result. To believe means to see the result. You pray, and you know that you will definitely win. You have no doubts. Then faith comes. Once you go through these 3 circles in life, you will never doubt God again. Raise your hand if you have gone through all 3 circles and got the result. That's a real hero. Faith is the most important thing in life. It is the core. If your faith is misplaced, stress will come. If your core is shaky, God won't let you walk long. He will let you try, then He will break everything. Not out of cruelty, but because He cares about us. We have an eternal Father. He is waiting for us in His timeless abode. He wants us to return. So if you feel that everything begins to collapse, give Him a chance. Don't rebel. Don't stomp your feet like a child who can't have their way. When God breaks your life, accept it. Yes, it's very painful. It's very difficult. The hardest thing in life is to accept when you are torn away from those very dear to you. It's excruciating, but in this world we all end up alone eventually. Sometimes God may give you a second chance to meet again. This is a rare grace. If God gives you a possibility to go to the spiritual reality together, hand in hand, this is possible, but only for the strong, only for those who pass their exams together in life. Everyone else will be separated in this world. So if you wish to pass exams, then pass them. You'll remain together. You'll go further. I've seen it. People who stay together go further. But these are not ordinary people. They are as strong as a rock. You can't do anything with them. Even if they are separated, their hearts remain unmoved, because they understand that loyalty is not about possessing someone. Loyalty means giving the other the chance to be happy. Wherever they are and with whomever they may be, this is true loyalty. It has a divine nature. And this rare feeling is born only when you are deeply filled with God. Giuseppe Moscati was such a person. He let go of his beloved. Let her go without bitterness, without regret. He simply let her go. His best and dearest friend took the woman he loved, and he helped this friend his whole life. He lived alone all the time because he remained faithful to that woman. He was a holy man, but he didn't suffer, didn't cry, didn't whine, and didn't complain. He simply went on joyfully loving people, everyone he met. He rejoiced in their happiness. This is a very high level of human development. And then he went to heaven. He continues to serve there. Everything remains the same. Nothing has changed. Later, he will rise even higher. After the life he now lives, he will have the next one, and then he will go to God. There will be eternal life afterwards. This is how one should live. As in the poem, he rushed by like a burning star, perished, engulfed in flames, so that our sky would be clear. He remained in it forever. These are 3 stages of victory over fate. These are 3 circles. It's so important to understand this, to see how it works. But before these three circles, there is something else, something very difficult for people to understand. It's called accepting your cross. Until a person accepts it, victory over fate doesn't even begin. Whether you pray or not, nothing will change in your life. First, you must understand why Jesus Christ went to Golgotha. Why did he go? They told him, you don't have to go. Why did he take his cross? Why did he go? They threw stones at him, and still he went, because this is what every person must do in life. They must say, Lord, I agree with everything. I accept my burden, my fate. I take my cross, not like yours, a smaller one, but I take it and carry it uphill. I agree with everything. I don't argue. Only when a person has done this, 3 stages of victory over fate begin. If not, nothing will happen. There will be no stages. It's impossible, because you must first accept your cross. Acceptance is the foundation of life. God gave you a person, your reflection. A woman once asked me, Dr. Torsunov, can you show me my fate? I said, I can. Close your eyes. I told her, close your eyes and remember your husband, your children, your factory manager, your relatives. This is your fate. She said, what do you mean? In life, God gives you nothing except what is yours. Everything you have done in the past, you now receive through them. In this world, there are no coincidences, no injustices, no incomprehensible combinations. Everything we receive is truly ours. If you accept it, if you believe in God, faith means not to complain. You take everything that is given to you with gratitude, just like a prisoner who repents, and their sentence is immediately shortened. So too in life. If you agree with everything except your cross, then life immediately becomes easier. Because you agree with everything, you are a God-fearing person. A God-fearing person isn't someone who bangs their head against a wall crying, I'm sinful, I'm sinful. No, a God-fearing person is one who accepts all that God gives. We are studying the nature of conflicts. We were discussing how conflict is something that arises when you live incorrectly. We began with the idea that most people don't nourish themselves with the energy of nature. As a result, everything in their life falls apart because they simply have no strength. The second thing is that a person must actively engage in relationships with others. One must understand that social life exists. And social life requires social muscles. These social muscles are woven from love for others. There are different kinds of love and different kinds of happiness. For example, if a woman wants a family, it means she wants someone to care for her, which also means that she must care for others. If she just sits at home, dreaming of marriage, nothing will happen. To get married means go out into the world, love people, take care of everyone, think of others, help everyone. It means to be socially active, to be deeply engaged socially. It means to participate everywhere in everything. And then God will send you a person. It is God who gives you a person. But there are 2 types of women. Some women can knock men off their feet, others cannot. Some possess inner beauty, the kind that creates a happy family, while others possess outer beauty, the kind that can drive a man crazy. Men only react to outer beauty, they don't see inner beauty at all. There are women who only have inner beauty and no one marries them. They could give someone a wonderful family, but no one marries them because everyone wants a Brazilian soap opera. Everyone wants it to be fiery, passionate, to feel something that warms the heart. If you don't have that kind of beauty, then simply ask to be introduced to someone. Because there are guys with inner beauty too, as well as women with inner beauty. They are just not visible to each other. No woman will look twice at a man with only inner beauty. She wants him to have outer beauty, something that can drive her wild. But the more handsome the guy, the greater his ambition. And the more beautiful a woman, the more ambition she has. One of my acquaintances once pointed at a young woman and said, I like her. I told him, you won't be able to pay the price. Why pay a price? Because a woman's beauty is tied to her ambition. She knows exactly what she is worth and she will demand it from a man. He said, I don't believe that. I said, life will show you, my dear friend. Right, ladies, do you know your worth or not?
Yes.
The youngest girl answered, you won't sell yourselves cheap, right? Who will sell themselves cheap? Silence in response. Good. Social strength means being able to do what life calls you to do. Everyone needs success. It's not possible to live without success. Success is essential. A man needs to be successful in his work, in what he does. A woman needs a family. A man needs a family too. He needs a good wife. Everyone achieves these things in their own way. A man needs to become strong. Today is February 23rd, the day of men's strength. A man must understand that the purpose of his life is victory. Is it time to finish?
Yes, the lecture ends at 5 today.
Well, a boss is a boss, nothing you can do about it. I will tell you a story about this lady. Many years ago, 20 years, this woman created a cake. The cake was delicious. She prepared it with love, with prayer, and distributed it to all the managers in the city. People liked it so much that a company emerged that made this cake with prayers. The cake outcompeted all other cakes in the city. Everyone stood in line for these cakes. It was the only cake anyone ate. Raise your hand if you remember that time. I'll just tell you a small episode from my life. A few years ago, I arrived by plane and I needed to find a bathhouse. There was a good bathhouse there, but it was still under renovation. Everything was closed off. We couldn't find a way in. She goes around the corner and says, "I'll handle it." Imagine she opens it for me from the other side. I walk in. There's snow everywhere, icy ground, and a tall fence that she climbed over just to open the door for me. At her age, can you imagine? An extraordinary person altogether. I was amazed when I saw this. That is social strength. We are studying social strength. Now she is telling me to wrap up. But I haven't even started on the most important point. Social strength means giving your life to others. There are different kinds of human success, and each one requires a different kind of social strength. For example, male beauty is always a victory. If a man does not achieve what he is aiming for, if he does not reach his goal, he will not have a good wife or a good job. Good health, success, everything for a man comes through his desire to win. He must overcome obstacles, achieve his goals. A woman should live in harmony, in love with people. She should forgive, care, and love, and through that she becomes happy. Everyone has their own program. A man has his, and a woman has her own program. Social strength of a person is a major, serious key to a successful life. It means breaking free from your own desire. In every life situation, there are two sides to the swing. One side is your desire, which suffocates you, and the other side is what you must do, which is the opposite of that desire, but needs to be done in order to achieve this desire. If you want wealth, help people. If you want power, take care of and respect the government and your elders. If you want fame, be useful, bring real benefits to others, and forget yourself. If you want money, feed people, make them feel comfortable, make them feel good, then God will shower you with money. If you want power, then take responsibility for people, be accountable for their lives. Respect the government, the culture you live in, respect everything you have, and take responsibility. You will have power. If you want fame, do something people truly need, help them. You can give them knowledge or sing beautifully. Do what their hearts long for, and fame will follow. All blessings in this world come only through overcoming yourself. When a person steps over themselves, becomes selfless, and lives for others, everything begins to change. The first stage, in which there is no success, God just shows you the work. You do it, and nothing seems to happen. But it all builds and accumulates inside. Then one day, everything suddenly shifts in life. Like an iceberg that melts and then suddenly flips over. So it is in life. You do good, live correctly, and everything changes in life. First, a person's outlook begins to change. That's the first thing that happens. Then their habits change. Then their circle of friends changes. Then their work changes. And only after all that does their personal life change. There are different layers to karma, and changes occur in this same sequence. What questions do you have about these two lectures?
I have a question about parents. My father passed away 6 years ago. There were serious conflicts in our family for more than 10 years. Violence, beatings, all of it happened in front of me. He passed away in a tragic suicide. And from what I understand from your lectures, it seems to me that this was a demon, actually.
It doesn't matter, just pray for your father. That's all that is needed.
Yes, I have been praying. I only recently began listening to your lectures and started praying, but I still don't understand our relationship. I never really understood male nature.
When did he pass away?
6 years ago.
At first, he remained in the form of a ghost, because suicide means the body of a ghost. This lasted about a year. After that, he was dragged downward, meaning he descended to the lower planets, because he lived incorrectly. He was there down below when about a year and a half ago you began praying and listening to lectures. From that moment, as soon as your consciousness began to rise, and through that you started pulling him from there little by little, and you are still lifting him. He is slowly rising upward with your help. If you continue praying for another 7-8 months, you will feel a strong relief in your heart. That will mean that he is born on earth again in a family of believers. That's it, I've told you everything. As one of my Jewish acquaintances once said, even if you've been eaten, there are still 2 ways out. So you see, my dears, there is always a way out. Even after something as tragic as suicide, there is still a way out. We are immortal, eternal beings. Do you ever watch children's cartoons? No one ever dies there. And you know what? It's true, that's how it is. I wish you all happiness, peace, love, good health, and all the brightest things in life. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.